There is an object in Foundation custody that does not need to be fast. It waits, sometimes for months, without moving. It prefers the young. It walks through walls, and it leaves behind a black residue that eats through steel, stone, and living tissue alike. It has no docile state. What follows is its file. The subject is designated SCP-106. Its object class is Keter. Foundation classification of Keter is not applied lightly. It is assigned to anomalies which cannot be reliably contained, which have demonstrated the capacity to escape at will, and which pose an ongoing, active threat to human life and to the operational integrity of Foundation sites. SCP-106 has met each of these criteria repeatedly, across multiple containment revisions, at multiple secure locations, over an extended operational history. In appearance, SCP-106 presents as an elderly humanoid figure, hunched, thin, and exhibiting a general condition of advanced decomposition. The specific presentation varies from observation to observation. Features shift, posture shifts. The impression of the figure is not fixed. What remains constant across all recorded encounters is the rotting quality, a persistent aspect of decay that clings to the entity regardless of its immediate form. It is coated in a thick, black, mucus-like substance which drips continuously from its body and pools beneath it wherever it comes to rest. The substance is not incidental. It is the mechanism by which SCP-106 alters its environment and, in the estimation of current research, the mechanism by which it feeds. SCP-106 is not physically imposing in the conventional sense. It is not exceptionally agile. It is not swift. It has been observed to remain motionless for days at a time, positioned in a corner, along a wall, or clinging to a ceiling, waiting. It is capable of scaling any vertical surface without apparent effort, and it can remain suspended upside down for indefinite periods. When it chooses to attack, it does so with methodical intent. It does not attempt to kill outright. Instead, it targets major organs, muscle groups, and tendons, seeking to incapacitate. Once its prey is disabled and unable to flee, SCP-106 draws the subject into what has been provisionally termed its pocket dimension. Analysis of documented incidents indicates a clear preference in prey selection. SCP-106 appears to favor human subjects within the age bracket of approximately 10 to 25 years. This preference is consistent and has been observed across every documented predation event in the Foundation record. The most immediately dangerous property of SCP-106 is the corrosion effect it induces in all solid matter with which it makes contact. Several seconds after touch, the affected material begins to undergo physical breakdown. Metals rust and pit. Wood rots. Concrete cracks and crumbles. Living tissue is affected most severely of all. The affected area produces a black, mucus-like substance identical to that which coats SCP-106 itself. This corrosion is assumed by Foundation research to be a pre-digestive action, the entity beginning the process of consuming its environment or its prey before physical contact is even fully complete. The corrosion effect does not stop immediately. It continues in the affected material for approximately 6 hours after the initial contact, during which time the material continues to degrade. After this period, the effect appears to burn out on its own, leaving behind only the ruined substrate and traces of the black residue. Any corrosion observed on containment cell surfaces, on staff members, or at any site location within a 200-meter radius of SCP-106 is to be reported to site security immediately. Any objects or personnel lost to SCP-106 are classified as missing or killed in action. No recovery attempts are to be made under any circumstances. SCP-106 is capable of passing directly through solid matter. It does not require openings. It does not require doors. When it moves through a wall, a floor, or a ceiling, it leaves behind a large patch of its corrosive mucus, marking the point of entry. Within the substrate, the entity vanishes entirely, entering what is assumed to be a form of pocket dimension. It is then able to exit this dimension from any point connected to the original entry surface. It may enter the inner face of a wall and emerge from the outer face. It may enter a wall and emerge from a ceiling, or from a floor several rooms away. The topology of ordinary architecture appears to be, for SCP-106, a set of connected surfaces which it may pass into and out of at will. It is not currently known whether this dimension is the point of origin for the entity, or whether it is a layer constructed by SCP-106 for its own use. Limited observation of the interior of this dimension has shown it to be comprised largely of halls and rooms, with further details of its structure and access redacted from open documentation. Activity within the dimension has been observed to continue for days at a time. Some subjects taken by SCP-106 have been released back into the standard environment, apparently for the purpose of being hunted again, recaptured, and subjected to further activity that has been formally expunged from the record. The initial containment procedures for SCP-106 were drafted with the assumption that the entity could be isolated through physical separation and standoff distance. No physical interaction with SCP-106 was permitted at any time, and any exception required a 2/3 vote from O5 Command, restricted to testing situations. All personnel, whether research, security, or Class D, were required to remain at least 20 meters from the containment cell at all times, except for mandated maintenance and re-evaluation checks. The primary containment cell was itself held suspended within a secondary cell, the walls of which were required to stand at least 30 meters distant from the outer walls of the primary. The secondary cell was to remain under total observation, kept fully illuminated, and cleared of any and all debris. Any objects, any movement, or any activity within the secondary cell that fell outside normal parameters was to trigger an immediate full-site lockdown. Lockdown would be maintained until a situation normal dispatch was issued by Site Command. It was noted at the outset that SCP-106 does not possess a docile state. Any apparent reduction in activity, any apparent increased compliance, was to be interpreted immediately as a luring tactic preceding an aggressive action and treated accordingly. These original procedures were subsequently discontinued due to escape percentage. The second revision of containment procedures attempted a more materially aggressive approach. Physical interaction remained forbidden without O5 approval. Standoff distance was extended, and personnel were required to remain at least 30 meters from the cell at all times, except under direct order from Site Command. SCP-106 was to be held within a sealed container comprised of 16 layers of lead-lined steel, each layer separated from the next by open space, aside from minimal support struts. The container was then suspended by a continuous current system within a fluid medium, and this fluid medium was to be replaced in 48-hour cycles and monitored continuously for any intrusion of corrosion. Observation had begun to yield useful insights. SCP-106 displayed a slight resistance when passing through lead or other similar metals, though the thickness of the material appeared to make no meaningful difference. Multiple layers of thin material, however, appeared to slow the entity, forcing it to enter and re-emerge repeatedly rather than passing through in a single traversal. Fluids also appeared to temporarily confuse the entity. These findings shaped the design of the fluid suspension system. This revision was likewise discontinued. Multiple surface breaches occurred, and the agitation system, intended to protect the container, instead dispersed the corrosive residue throughout the medium during the breach event. The dispersal produced further breaches, one after another, until containment failed entirely. Revision 11-8 represents the current standard of containment for SCP-106, drafted after the failures of the previous two protocols and after the analysis of every recorded breach and recovery to date. No physical interaction with SCP-106 is permitted at any time. All physical interaction must be approved by no less than a 2/3 vote from O5 Command, and any such interaction must be conducted within AR-2 maximum security sites, following a general evacuation of non-essential staff. All personnel are to remain at least 60 meters from the containment cell at all times, except in the event of a breach. SCP-106 is to be held within a sealed container of lead-lined steel. That container is then sealed within 40 additional layers of identical material, with generous empty space between each layer, and with the support struts between layers randomly spaced rather than aligned. The container itself is to remain suspended, held clear of any surface by electromagnetic supports. The secondary containment area consists of 16 spherical cells, each filled with various fluids and each arranged with a random assembly of internal surfaces and supports. The secondary containment is fitted with a light system capable of flooding the entire assembly with intense illumination instantly, without any direct human involvement being required to initiate it. Both containment areas remain under continuous surveillance. The design choices in the current revision are the direct product of accumulated observation. Continued research has established that when SCP-106 is confronted with highly complex and randomized assemblies of structures, it can be functionally confused, exhibiting a marked delay in both entering and exiting the assembly. This delay is significant enough to be exploited in containment. SCP-106 has also demonstrated an aversion to direct, sudden light. This aversion does not manifest as any observable physical damage to the entity. Instead, SCP-106 responds by rapidly exiting the illuminated space into the pocket dimension it generates on any nearby solid surface. Taken together, the observations of lead aversion, liquid confusion, structural complexity confusion, and light aversion have been employed in the design of the current containment array. According to internal figures, the combined application of these principles has reduced the general escape incidence associated with SCP-106 by approximately 43%. The primary cell design has also proven effective in recovery incidents requiring the standing recall protocol, the identifier of which remains redacted in open documentation. Observation of the entity, its behaviors, and its response to containment measures is ongoing. The reduction figure is not zero. It has never been zero. Behavioral notes accompany the containment file. SCP-106 has been observed to enter long periods of dormancy, during which it remains completely motionless for up to 3 months. The cause of these dormant periods is not known. What is known is that they should not be interpreted as safe. Analysis of past incidents indicates that dormancy operates as a lulling tactic. When SCP-106 emerges from a dormant state, it does so in a highly agitated condition. It attacks and abducts personnel, and it inflicts substantial damage on its containment cell and on the surrounding site infrastructure. Any prolonged inactivity is treated internally as a countdown rather than a reprieve. SCP-106 also appears to hunt and attack based on desire rather than on hunger. During a hunting behavior event, it will attack and collect multiple prey subjects, keeping many of them alive within the pocket dimension for extended periods. There is no determinable limit to the number it will take. The count during any given event appears to be arbitrary. The inner dimension accessed by SCP-106 appears to be accessible only to SCP-106 itself. Recording and transmission devices carried by taken subjects have been shown to continue functioning within the dimension, although the resulting recordings and transmissions are severely degraded. From what has been recovered, it appears that SCP-106 plays with captured prey, and that within its dimension, it exercises full control over time, space, and perception. Further characterization of this behavior has been expunged. Due to the exceedingly difficult nature of the entity, the containment file for SCP-106 is reviewed every 3 months, and additionally, following any breach incident. Physical restraints are impossible. Direct physical damage has demonstrated no effect on the entity. The current file, as of the most recent revision, is built around basic observation and immediate response. Every earlier, more proactive protocol has been recalled due to breach events, the identifiers of which are redacted from open circulation. In the event of a breach, the standing recall protocol is initiated. A human subject within the 10 to 25-year age bracket, matching the entity's established prey preference, is prepared while the compromised containment cell is replaced and restored for use. When the cell is ready, the subject is injured, preferably through the breakage of a long bone, such as the femur, or through the severing of a major tendon, such as the Achilles. The subject is then placed within the prepared cell, and the sound produced by the subject is transmitted across the site public address system. SCP-106 typically begins to gravitate toward the lure within 10 to 15 minutes of the broadcast beginning. Should the entity not respond, additional physical trauma is administered to the lure at 20-minute intervals until it does. In the event of a major breach, multiple lures may be used simultaneously. Following completion of its interaction with a lure, SCP-106 typically enters a dormant state. Further outcomes for lure subjects have been expunged from open record. There is no docile state. There is only the interval before the next event. Observation continues.